Hello everyone, my name is Andrew Parks and I'm very excited to be showing you the first production sample of Core Worlds Empires, a game we kickstarted back in February 2021. And now it's time for the unboxing video. Before we get started, I just wanted to point out that I have actually already opened this box because it is my production sample and I had to approve it in order to give Ludofact the green light to finish assembling the games. The other thing I wanted to point out is that, as we mentioned during one of our Kickstarter updates, we discovered an error on one of the tokens, which also affected one of the cards. We found this right before assembling the game, so it was too late to reprint them. So what we did to rectify this is, inside of your box already, it's not going to be mailed separately, you will see an upgraded version of the card and a sticker to go on the token. I've already opened up that sticker, but I'll show you how it'll appear once I open up. I've already started bagging things, so this is not actually a true unboxing video because I've already gone in and done a little bit of organizing. Okay, let's get started. Let's open up the box. One of the things you'll notice right away is that it's a very thick box, certainly the thickest box of any game that Quixotic Games has printed so far, including Dungeon Alliance, which was pretty thick. We'll put this back here for now, so we can open up some room. All right, so right on the top here we have our rules of play. It's a 28-page rule book, printed on nice, high-quality glossy paper, illustrated, lots of diagrams, as you can see here. Everything to help you get started. There's a starter version of the game that's included, just to help you make some decisions during setup that would normally be difficult to do if you weren't experienced with the game. And in the back here, you'll be able to see that we have our solo play rules. We also have a light speed variant that allows you to play the game a lot quicker, and Core Worlds Campaign Mode, which allows you to play back-to-back games of Core Worlds with all of its expansions and Core Worlds Empires for your full Core Worlds experience. So this is the rulebook. Put this over to the side. All right, over here in this baggie, I put the replacement card and sticker. So let's pull these out real quick. Okay, the first is, you can see, this is the replacement card with the correct icons. It's printed on the same nice linen finish as all of the other cards, and it's virtually indistinguishable from the other cards. So basically, when you get your card packs, you'll see the wrong version of the planet Avalon in there, and you'll just discard that, and you'll put this one in instead. This is the sticker after I've already removed the sticker. They did a really great job on it, and it is in fact just slightly smaller than the actual token, so it's very difficult to notice it on there, but it was very easy to put on for that reason. All right, here we'll start off with these dice. These are the 3 custom dice that were created for the game. I got these samples months ago and I shared them with backers. I'm very excited how they came out. They're very high quality. We had a lot of discussion with the manufacturer where we're going to do these as wooden dice, but then it couldn't do these more complicated icons. Especially here, as you can see on the Galactic Order Die. They have very, very complex little icons. Then we were going to possibly just try to put little stickers on there, and they would probably peel off. So we instead had each one has been indented in this way and then hand painted. So this is the Galactic Order Die, which has the 6 different Galactic Orders on it. And these are the battle dice, which are identical. This shows if you were able to add to your combat, or instead if you received a penalty, or instead you may have damaged one of your enemies, or sadly, you could have damaged yourself. That's the ship blowing up there. All right, so, and there's two of this die, these 2 dice both come in the game. So those are the dice that come with the game. All right, now we have our cubes. So we have cubes that represent resources generically, and then on the player board, which we'll see in a second, you'll mark how many you have of each particular resource. So this represents 1 resource, this represents 5, and the big golden ones represent 10. Right? And depending upon where it appears in the game, will tell you what type of resource it is. Okay, we've got lots of extra bags have been included in the game, as you can see, in addition to the ones that I've already used to pack up a lot of the components. All right, here's all of our standees. So we included, there are 42 different standees, and we didn't want you to have to take them on and off. So regardless of how many you'll be using in a certain game, you can keep these standees on every single one of your standee tokens without ever having to remove them again. So there's 42 there, which is the maximum number that you could possibly have in the game. All right, now we're going to take a look at the event cards. Normally the cards are in 2 different card packs. I've already separated them into 3. These are the smaller cards, which are used during most of the game, and then there's a larger deck of cards for solo. So these are the event cards. The backs tell you when they take place, so there's starting events, and Epoch 1, Epoch 2, 3, and 4. And then there's some double-sided cards as well that are inserted in order to let you know when certain ages begin. And this is the front of the cards. The printing quality is exceptional, just like it always is for Ludofact. We have beautiful artwork from the game. We have some new pieces like this one as well. So these are all of the event cards. Next, we'll take a look at the world cards. Every single planet in the game is represented on its own world card. You can see this kind of identifies on the back which sector these are from. You can see we have a lot of worlds in here. All right, and so these are the barbaric worlds, frontier worlds. These are all taken from the original Core Worlds game. Two worlds don't have cards, and that's because they only appear on the board and you can never own them. And that is Ra, which is the throne world of the galaxy, which always remains neutral until the very end of the game, as well as Raven, which is a secret world that you may or may not discover during each of your games. Those can't be conquered, and so therefore they don't have cards. These are the rest of our cards, which have the main Core Worlds Empires card back. They're all the same card back. And they're in different categories, and they will form your hand during the game based upon which cards that you may purchase or research for. So we have these advancement cards, and these will go right onto your Empire board, which we'll show you in a little bit. There's hero cards, which are in 3 different categories. There's your leader, so everybody starts with 1 leader. You'll recognize these folks from the other game. These are the 6 leaders that you could have in the other game. There are starting ambassadors, which you could have several starting ambassadors, but only 1 card represents each of them. And finally, the heroes that you can draft to convert your various ambassadors into heroic ambassadors that have special powers and increased statistics. Then after that, we get to the unit cards. Now, most of the units in the game are represented by unit tokens that we'll see soon, and there's 6 different types of unit tokens. But we wanted you to be able to have that same level of customization that you have in regular Core Worlds. So these unit cards allow you to upgrade your unit tokens into special kinds, like jump troopers, flame troopers, special vehicles, including the Great Mech Annihilator. And so these stats at the bottom will enhance the statistics. You can see the Mech Annihilator adds +5 ground strength to your vehicles. And you basically will put the token on top of this card, and it will receive this text, and it will receive these statistics. So these are all the different types of unit cards that you can add into the game to upgrade your units. And finally, we have tactic cards that allow you to change the rules of the game either during battles or during other situations. And of course, we had to include some version of Smugglers, the most controversial card from the original Core Worlds. So those are all of the small cards that come in the game. The event cards, the world cards, and these are called the upgrade cards, which take many different forms based upon the types of upgrades. Those are smaller size cards. These are larger size cards. These are standard size. And these are used just for the solo game. So just take a quick look at those. Okay. World's Empire solo deck. And that picture represents the Nemesis that you'll see in this game, and of course in Core Worlds Nemesis as well. And essentially, these cards give the Nemesis Empire their turns and says what they should do. They provide some opportunities for you in the same way that you would have certain opportunities if someone else is playing the game, and they also result conflict for you. So our goal with this deck was to make sure that all the different effects of things that people do would be available to you as well. So rather than actually moving standees of the Nemesis on the board, which would be very time consuming, we just draw a card which basically says their effect on the game and gives you options for being able to react to that. So this is the solo deck. All right, now let's take a look at the punch boards. This game is very heavy. It's 1.5 pounds heavier than Dungeon Alliance. For those of you who are familiar with it, that was a very heavy game. So there are 16 regular sets of punch boards in this game, plus there are 2 giant punch boards in this game. So let's take a look at them one at a time. The reason why there's 2 giant ones is that we have 2 foldable ones, and you can see it already started to take off the outer part. I'll show you what it looks like when it was done. But this is basically the top half of our round board, and attached to that, when you first open it, will be this frame. Normally it will be attached, but of course it comes off easily, which is good news, and it has several tokens on it on either side. And that frame would normally be part of this piece, and it folds as well. So this is the first giant punch board. This is a 30-inch diameter board. And as you can imagine, this second one includes the other half of the board. You can see the little brackets come off very, very easily, which is good, so there won't be any ripping or tearing. Okay, this one is a little bit more intact. Okay, one of the tokens just fell off there. We'll show you that in a second. But anyway, this is the second half of the board, and we'll set this board up at the end of the video so you can see what the whole thing looks like when it's all put together. All right, and there's the other tokens that are up there, which you can also pull off. All right, there are some odd-shaped planets are on here as opposed to the normal round planets, and some other tokens. One of the flag tokens just fell off, and all of these others. So the good news is the tokens fall right off, which is great. We don't want the tokens to be difficult to come off of here. All right, so we'll show this all set up when we're done, but for now I just wanted to show you how big those are when they first come out of the box. And now we have 16 regular size punch boards, which we're going to start pulling out. Okay, let's take a look at these. I'm really excited about how all the tokens came out in this game. They're all done in high quality linen finish. They're 2 millimeter thick, so they're very, very sturdy. And you can see here we have some of those standees that we talked about, and some of those unit tokens in the center here. Here's some faction tokens, and here's some of the world tokens that will go right onto the worlds, into the sectors that you saw on that Galactic Board. All right, let's pull out a standee and make a standee. Why not? Let's take Empress Alona and make her into a standee. So here she is. Let me grab the standees. So we've got a very firm attachment here. And here she is, Empress Alona as a standee. The first official standee of Core Worlds Empires. All right, they're double-sided, of course. They've got their stats on there, their faction icon, and it's a very, very snug fit. It took me a couple seconds to put it on there, and once it's on, it can stay on there forever. All right, so let's move on. So let's look at the back of this. You can see that the unit tokens become red when they're damaged. There's a lot of extra picture here that is not actually in the token. You can see we take this off just because we needed to have that bleed. In case there's a miscut, and there's always a little bit of a miscut after all when you're doing printing. So this is the back of punch board number 1. All the punch boards are numbered, as you can see here. They're not always numbered in the same place because they're so different from each other. But this way, if there's any problem, if you're missing a punch board or if there's a token that's missing or damaged, you can just tell us what punch board it's from. So that's punch board number 1. Punch board number 2 shows a lot more unit tokens. These are worlds from later sector. Sector 2, and here's a whole bunch of more faction tokens, and these are used for lots of things. They're used to mark your territory, which worlds belong to you on the galaxy map, and they're also used to mark things on the Galactic Board, which is a central information board that we'll look at. It's the last of the punch boards. Here's our first of 6 Empire boards. Originally, the game was going to be made with just 4 players, if you remember, but because we reached the stretch goals during the campaign, we were able to increase it to a 5-player game. There are actually enough units and tokens here for a 6-player game, but we have tried playing a 6-player version of this, and it was just a little too much. So that's why we limit it to 5 players officially. One of the issues with Core Worlds is that the player board's a little thin, and we know that people wish that it had been thicker, so lo and behold, we have done that for you by adding it to the punch board. It's a nice 2mm thick Empire board. And this is where you have these 4 starting advancements, and you'll place more advancements on top. Each world has different beautiful artwork back here, all done by E.J. De La Cruz. He's done such a wonderful job. It's a shame we have to put pieces on top and cover it up during the game. And then the other side of each of these is the Nemesis board, which is used for solo. So Nemesis has different priorities than the players do, so therefore the board has a different layout. Now we'll look at Quetzalcoatl, which is the machine world. Anu is the world, by the way, that creates all the capital ships in the galaxy. That's why you saw all those ships up there. Anu is the robot world, and you can see there are some robots hanging out around here with some of the regular people. It's a fully mechanized world. Quetzalcoatl, in fact, has its ambassador is a robot, just because we thought that would be cool for the robot world. Okay, so that's Quetzalcoatl. Now we go back to the next token here, which shows more of our standees. These are some of the heroes that you can upgrade to, the ones with the H's. And then down here are some of your starting ambassadors. There's 4 different starting ambassadors for every single one of the core worlds. You start with 2 of them, and you'll acquire the others as the game continues. Here's more Sector 1 worlds over here with nice clear icons on there. Here's punch board number 6 out of 16. More unit tokens, more worlds. We've got some from Sector 2 and 3. You'll notice that based upon what sector they're from, there's slightly different coloration. That's because we wanted them to match as closely as possible the galaxy map. The galaxy map has sort of nebulae that expand out from the center of the galaxy. The reason why this one is a little crooked is because, as you may have guessed, I've already taken it out and put it back in. I didn't put it back in straight. But also you may notice here that there is Avalon with the correct sticker on top. You can see color-wise it is virtually indistinguishable from the other tokens. It doesn't have the same finish. It has more of a glossy finish than the others have a linen finish, but other than that, it fits perfectly on here. Obviously, I've already taken it out. I'll pull it out for you again. And the sticker, you can barely see the edges of it. It's right along the edges. It's just slightly smaller than the token. So it was very easy for me to just pop this right on there. And this is the regular back. We only had to change the front. Right, so this is what it will look like after you add your label. It fits really nicely into the game. I was very excited about that. Okay, so that's the rest of that. Now we have some more of these. We have Dagda. This is a world that came out in Core Worlds Revolution, if you remember, and this world is sort of a blend of technology and nature. So it has these kind of beautiful little areas down here. Okay. And Wotan, which is the frozen world where all the infantry, the best infantry in the galaxy are trained. And actually, we have one of the Wotan ambassadors up there. You can see he's pretty tough. Even for an ambassador, he's got a gun. Okay. Now we've got more of the standees that you can upgrade to. We didn't have any heroes in Sector 5 during regular Core World, so we took some of the event cards and converted them. So if you look down here at this row, you'll see Queen Elias, who has new artwork. Get that to focus a little better. She has new artwork. And then we took Prince Godwin from the prestige card, the Prince, and Admiral Thaddeus was from an event card, Supreme Admiral of the Realm. And so we've given him a name, and we've given the Prince a name, and now we've made them into heroes that you can recruit. So the old Supreme Monarch's son could become your ally in this new world. Okay, here's more tokens here and more Sector 1 worlds. Okay, even more units here. There's lots of units in this game. More worlds. These are from Sector 3, and these down here, including this crooked one, which obviously, if it's crooked, it means I pulled it out and put it back in. It won't normally come crooked like that. And these are even brighter than Nebulae. And then we have our last two player boards. We have Indra, which is the tactical world. This is a pretty rough place. Dark clouds and so on. This is where people discuss all kinds of high-level tactics in the galaxy. And finally Zeus, which matches our cover. This is the Starfighter world. I'm very excited about what the artist did with this. I told him, and note that you would normally have to really explain, I just said to EJ, who was our artist, I said, this world is very polluted, but the pollution is beautiful. And I think he just nailed it with this yellow pollution. So anyway, that's our last of our Empire boards. Okay. Now we've got one with even more unit tokens, some of the last of our standees. These are, these special world tokens are used to denote how many new planet neutral worlds come out. These are neutral world tokens, and so based upon the number of players, so in a one-player game or a two-player game, it is always the case that one world comes out every single turn. In a three-player game, the reason why this is yellow and not blue is that it's one world, one turn, and then you flip it over, and then it's two worlds the next turn, and so it'll keep flipping. And 4 players is always 2. 5 players is either 2 or 3. And yes, we did include 6 players here, even though we strongly recommend that no one ever attempt it or completely lose your mind as a consequence. But we put it on there just in case we put an expansion or something that makes 6 players work better. Okay, and these are more of the damaged units. And then just in case you didn't think we had enough units, here's a lot more. This is just unit tokens on this board, damaged on the backside. You can see the stats change, like the infantry and starfighters have 0 fleet and ground strength when they're damaged. And the vehicles and cruisers and robots and capital ships, they go down as well. Okay, here's one that includes a lot of world tokens, including all of our Sector 5 worlds, except for the one odd-shaped world, which is on the other board. And that's Anu. It has a big ring around it. And down here we have Raven, which is still considered a Sector 5 world. These little tokens here that you see of all the different ambassadors are used so that you can keep track of where to return your ambassadors in what we call the ambassador chambers on the Empire board, so that you'll send your standee out into the world, and then this will tell you where that hero comes back, where that ambassador comes back to. And finally, our 16th punch board, which easily comes right out. It's just got a little frame around it here. This is the Galactic Board, where we keep track of all kinds of information, the passing of turns. This is where all the upgrade decks go, where the events happen. There's an event deck here, and then the cards get flipped up, future, present, and past. So when you seed an event, it goes into the future, and you don't know quite when it's going to happen again. And this is how you keep track of your Galactic Order standings. And here's the turn order up here. This little area here tells you what the different end game bonuses might be, and you're sort of in control of the events in this game, so you'll try to make sure that the right ones come up that will give you the greatest number of points at the end of the game. All right, so that is everything that is inside the box for Core Worlds Empires. Now I'm going to set it up and show you what it all looks like when it's done. And here's the game all set up in the midst of its first turn. I'm going to pan over here so you can see more pieces. You can see there's lots of standees, lots of cards, wooden bits, and other tiny little tokens. All that you need to help carve out the greatest empire in the galaxy. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.